Who's the real Uter in here?
We got a couple. I know who created the word. AD created the word. Wouldn't say he's the one. He's been shooting it good, though. I've been begging him to shoot it for 3 years now, so thank God he finally listened. And it wasn't even me. He didn't listen to me.
What does that do, obviously, when he has that rhythm from outside and just how it opens up things offensively?
Yeah, it just makes the, floor spacing extra. You can get to the rim kind of whenever, and big men's tendencies when guards or whoever's driving is to, go contest shots. So when you're shooting it like that, they kind of have to second guess themselves. If they do go, you got a wide open three. If they don't go, you create in the paint. So it's big for our team.
Christian told me before the game, Bron and AD have said it too, just the emphasis of turning things around on the road. What was that message coming into this one?
Yeah, just to go win. It's the only thing that mattered. We're really good at home so far, and haven't been good on the road, the little road trip we had. So the main thing was just to come in here and get a win and then go do the same thing tomorrow night.
How critical was Max for you guys tonight, especially, being in and out of the rotation he was, to have that kind of performance?
It was huge. You always want, guys like that to, succeed. He puts the work in every day. So, he had a huge performance, and without him, we probably wouldn't have won that game. He came in, gave us a spark, made shots, rebound, guarded at a high level. Did a really good job fronting Wembanyama. Got one steal that I think led to a three. So, it was a very big performance.
LeBron being a playmaker is nothing new, but his assist numbers are obviously up over this triple-double streak. I'm wondering if AD being empowered is the hub, and then LeBron being LeBron, gives you guys just more dynamics on offense.
Yeah, they're pretty good, players. And, it just kind of makes everybody else's life around us easier. AD missed a couple bunnies today, but we won't hold it against him. Yeah, but I think when Bron's in that mindset of dominating the game in that way, it just empowers everybody else to, step up, make shots, and obviously AD is going to do what AD does. He's done it every night so far this year.
You guys are 4-0 since D'Lo was moved to the bench. How important is it to have success when that kind of a change is implemented?
Just about everyone trusting the process, accepting the roles. D'Lo didn't have any, fight back. He's still coming out producing. So, obviously, very professional of him, professional of Cam. But it just speaks volumes of our unit, how we're, together, and no one cares about, if they're starting, if they're finishing games coming off the bench, like whatever, as long as we get the win.
Just from the intensity standpoint, how much fun was this one, and obviously for you guys to pull it out at the end?
Yeah, it was very fun. Get to play a game like this on the road, especially when we've been struggling on the road. To come in this locker room at the end of the game, get the win. It was good. It was phenomenal. Taking steps in the right direction. As far as being on the road. Obviously another tough one tomorrow, but it was really fun. It's what you play the game of basketball for, especially at this level, to compete, in all games. And it was a great competitive game tonight.
You mentioned that you're in a good rhythm, but what does that mean in terms of your three ball and that rhythm you've been able to find as of late?
Real Uter. Just letting it fly. No hesitation, not thinking about it. Very confident, and it's been falling for me.
Does Uter only apply to you?
Yeah,
or
only me. Nobody else in here can shoot the basketball like me. That's it.
Okay. Max has been out of the rotation for the last 3 games, and then with Rui out, steps in and has a season high in points and closes the game. And JJ was shouting out his defense on front of Wemby and stuff. Like, what did you see from Max tonight?
Exactly that. Max is a pro. He's been in the league a while now, where he, understands, it's all about opportunity, and when you get the opportunity to go out and make the most of it, and being out of rotation, then coming in, and we'll go from being in the rotation, then out of the rotation, then being back in the rotation. Obviously, because of injuries or whatever, he's making the most of his opportunity, and he played really well on both ends of the floor. Made some big plays, made some big shots. Great defense. When we were switching everything, and he was on Wemby. He played extremely well, and I'm not sure the status of Rue tomorrow, but we're gonna need the same thing from him, tomorrow and for the rest of the season.
To the outside world, this is the start of the NBA Cup schedule for you, but for you guys, it's your first road game after that disappointing road trip.
Yep.
Like, what does it say about the group to be able to kind of reestablish your play on the road?
Yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to, be just as good as a road team as we are a home team, and we can't do that if we don't come out and compete. It's a different team while we're on the road. The way we compete, share the ball, play together at home, totally different when we, get on the other side on the road. So, we did that tonight. We got to do it again tomorrow. But, I like the way we came out with a mindset of, not losing the game and starting this road trip off right.
Thanks, AD.
Thanks, AD. Bron, saw the emotion as clock expired, obviously, down the stretch. Can you just kind of take us inside the intensity, the level of compete with this one?
Obviously, we want to try to, play better ball in this road trip than we did our last road trip. And, excuse me, they played extremely well on both sides of the floor. And but we kept our composure. We got stops, timely stops. We executed down the stretch and made the plays that we needed to make to win the game.
Obviously, triple doubles for you is nothing new, but 4 straight is. What about this one in particular stood out to you?
I was not in a good rhythm. Offensively, I wasn't in a good rhythm, but, being able to do other things. The best thing about my game is that I cannot have any rhythm offensively and still make an impact in the game. And I was able to do that tonight.
What's more surprising for you, that you did it in season 22 or that it took 22 years to do it 4 straight?
Probably that I did it in season 22. To still have the energy to do that and the effort. It takes, a lot, but also it takes some great teammates along the way, too. Those assists only happen when your guys are making shots, and I just try to put the ball on time, on target, and then defensively rebound and just trying to help on the glass with AD and the rest of the guys, sprinkling a little points from time to time. But waiting 22 years to do something is wild. So that's a good question right there.
You won a championship when you averaged your career high in assists with the Lakers, obviously having AD as your teammate. Has there anything been intentional about this approach, the amount of ball distribution that you've been doing as the season has kind of progressed?
No, I don't know, because, this is probably the lowest usage rate I've had, in my career. So the ball is not in my hands as much as it's been in the past, but I'm still finding ways, and my guys are finding ways to give me the ball, and I'm able to find them, either in half court or in early transition. Those guys are knocking down shots, but, like I said, the last couple games, I think, maybe 13, 14 turnovers. I don't like that. I got to get that under control, which I will. I've been doing a pretty good job over the, course of the season so far, but, being mindful of where my guys are as we continue to learn the system, knowing where the plays are, knowing where the passes are, and, just trusting my guys as I've always done throughout my career.
You won a lot of games in your career late when the ball's been in your hands and it's been an isolation situation, the clock going down, and you make the big play. When you guys went down the stretch tonight, it seemed like it was second, third, fourth actions and plays. When you talk about building out trust and what you guys are trying to do, how critical is that kind of late game execution, and what does that show you about kind of the buy-in?
No, it's very critical that we can, pretty much exhaust the 24-second shot clock and still be able to get a good look. And we did that all the way down the stretch. We'll put us up 3. We went through multiple actions, got it down, to the point where D'Lo kind of popped back, almost had a shot, dumped it to AD. We go split game. D'Lo comes screen for me. I curl around, get a layup toward, to kind of seal the game. We was able to get a stop and make a couple more free throws, but You know, it's big time for our team that we know we can execute going down the stretch, and it doesn't always have to be in early transition, or it doesn't have to just the ball be in my hands and, you know, we isolate or whatever the case may be.
LeBron, Max hadn't played the last 3 games really in the rotation. Steps in tonight with Rui out, has a season high in points, plays really good defense. JJ was talking about him fronting Wemby in the post when you guys went to Reading 1 through 5. Just what did you see from Max tonight?
Just professionalism. You know, we didn't know until we got here that Rui was out. He went to shoot around this morning at the hotel, but you know, when your number's called, your number's called. And guys work on their game every day, and you know, I know it's a tough situation for anybody to be in a rotation, then be out the rotation, and then your number's called and you have to go out and produce. But that's what this sport is all about. That's what professional sports is about. When your number's called, you have to go out and do what you can do, control what you can control. And what he did, what he controlled tonight is how hard he was playing. And you go out there and and do what you're supposed to do, and you know the coaches believe in you. You know, we believe in him. Obviously, when he's on the floor, and he just made plays after play after play. So it was great to see that.
Max, D'Lo had I think 13, 6 and 3. Gabe had a couple bucks, also just defensively impactful. How critical was that bench for tonight, but also just the last few games?
Obviously, when we move, our bench, has some times, tough time scoring at times throughout the course of the season. But the move to bring D'Lo off the bench just gave us a big time counter, and then we moved one of our guns from the bench and then to the starting lineup, and bringing Dalton to the starting lineup. Max and Gabe picked that up, and D'Lo just do what he'd been doing. So that was just big time for our team. That when one guy slides into the rotation, then the rest of the guys also slide and help us win a ball game. And it was a big win for us. I mean, like I said, we didn't play well on our last road trip, and we knew it was going to be a tough game tonight, with it being the first in-season tournament game for us and them. And then tomorrow's going to be very tough on the back-to-back going to New Orleans. So we look forward to that trip.
Last two.
You talk about being in year 22. Is it nice to look up and still see Chris Paul out there? And is it harder for a 6-footer to last 20 years in this league?
I don't know if it's hard for a 6-footer. I don't know. I'm 6'9", so I have no idea. But it's always great to see a dear friend of mine still doing what he loves to do.
Last question.
Stephon Castle was over there saying that, after the game you came over and told him, some reads you saw that he could have been making. Why did you take the time to do that?
Because I've been doing it for 22 years. Always have. Young talent coming to this league. I've always had an open door policy on guys wanting to get better and learn the game. And what I can see is competition. We're running the floor for those 48 minutes, and then right afterwards, I love the young. Every crew that come in, every group that comes in every year. I did the same with Jared McCain the other day when we played in Philly, or when we played against him at home. Did the same with those guys. Those guys are the new breed, and they're going to have to continue to carry this league when the old farts leave. So. I love to see. I love to see that. Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
Hey, Gabe. JJ specifically cited that first quarter stretch where you and D'Lo and I guess would have been Max came in and just sort of changed the energy, changed the tempo. What do you recall from that period, and what did you guys do to switch things around a little bit?
I think anytime we check in off the bench, our bench tries to bring energy and just tries to change the game in a positive way. And we picked up our pressure. We were able to get some steals and just disrupt them a little bit, and we were able to get out and run. It helps us a lot when you get out and run a little bit in transition.
And then, San Antonio played well, hit a lot of shots. How did you sustain that when, they made their run late and you guys were able to kind of turn the tide once again in the second half?
Yeah, no, definitely credit to them. They made some great plays down the stretch, but, we put the ball in our players' hands. Got the ball to our guys in their spots, got organized, and we were able to execute down the stretch.
JJ said this, you said this, you're going to, whether your shot's going in, you're going to play the same way. With that said, is it rewarding to see that 3 go down at a key time in the fourth? Just kind of all right, good.
Yeah, absolutely. It always feels good to see one go in, and definitely when you're having a stretch and not making many shots like you're used to. So I'm glad I could knock down a shot at a time that was crucial for the guys and help this team get a win.
And then this happened for this team last year, but winning that first NBA Cup game last year, it was in Phoenix on the road, creates some momentum going into the next 3. How important is that to go into a tough building, just like after you guys struggled a little bit on the last road trip?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to start this road trip out right and to turn it around on the road, definitely for sure. And you touch on the cup games; they're all important. So each one, we need to treat the same way, and whoever we're playing with a lot of respect, and go out there and take the game serious.
Gabe, as teams try to figure out who they are and how they're going to win games, most LeBron James teams over the past 20 years have kind of just given him the ball down the stretch, and it's been a pretty good strategy. For you guys, I know JJ wants to be a little more active in crunch time and not be, as easy to guard. The way you guys scored down the stretch tonight, how encouraging is that for what you guys are trying to accomplish late in games?
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, it's definitely when you're a little more stagnant, you're easier to guard for sure. Even LeBron in his greatness, sometimes it gets easier to guard us when we're stagnant. Despite that, he will make plays for sure. So you still will see us go to LeBron and trust in him to make the right read, et cetera, time and time again. But when we're active and we're moving like that, everyone's hard to guard. All five get live. So, we're a difficult team to guard when we're doing that.
Can you just kind of describe the energy tonight? It felt like. I mean, this is sort of what the idea is for the NBA Cup. I mean, you get exciting young player in Wembanyama. Obviously, your guys. Really high execution from both teams. What was the kind of the feeling and the rhythm out on the court in terms of energy?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think they had a great crowd come out too. Great support from them, and they rallied towards the end, and that built up their momentum and built up the energy in the building. And it is a cup game. It is a serious game for sure, and we want to come out and close and start this road trip right. So the intensity was there, the energy was there. It was a good game.
Thanks, Gabe.
Max, JJ was saying that he told you he's seen you play like this enough where, kind of he expects it, and therefore when you're playing like that, he doesn't want to take you off the court. Can you take us into that conversation and what you feel like he meant by it?
Yeah, I mean, I think he has a lot of belief in a lot of us, and I think he definitely has a lot of belief in me, and I can appreciate that coming from a head coach. I know, how I can play, and I think tonight was a very good example of that when I'm just kind of out there playing free, playing the way I know I can play, instead of just trying to overcomplicate things. So it was fun for sure. It felt really good to kind of have that kind of game, just stay in the course. Yeah.
One thing he mentioned in outside of the box score stats is the fronting that you were doing on Wembanyama, and we saw the one steal, but he said that in general took them out of a lot of what they wanted to do. What were you seeing on those possessions? How much had you talked about that in the game plan as being key?
Yeah, well, they were actually causing a lot of problems, honestly, just running that pick and roll with CP and Wemby, and they were getting a lot of lobs over the top. So we had to go to a bunch of reds and kind of just, we call it white in the post, just from the post. And for me, I was just trying to be as physical as I can. Obviously, he's really, really tall. He's got a lot of length. He's got a big wingspan. So for me, just trying to disrupt his rhythm, disrupt the inbounder pass, whoever's trying to get over the top, his rhythm too. I was able to get a steal off of it, and I think that kind of built some momentum for us to win the game.
You've obviously gone against AD for a few years in practice now, but he's a whole another level of length. How do you account for that when you're on the court like that?
Well, it was part of our game plan. You kind of got to know where he's at all times, especially defensively, or offensively, I should say, where he's at on the defensive end. When we're driving to the basket, he's really, really good at kind of pulling in and kind of coming out of nowhere to block those shots. So we got to make sure we know where he's at. And I think we did a good job of that tonight, just kind of drawing him into the paint, getting those kickouts. And I think Coach and the whole coaching staff did a good job, too, kind of trying to get him away from the basket so he can make plays at the rim, too.
Offensively, it seems like there are a lot of quick decisions from you. Okay, open shoot, not drive. What were you thinking going into that?
Yeah, just being aggressive. To be honest, that's kind of what I'm out there to do, is start the blender. Just being aggressive when I have the ball, especially catching it in the corners where I'm usually at. Quick shot, quick drive middle, quick drive baseline. Just trying to make plays, either kickouts or scoring for myself. So just trying to be aggressive.
You just kind of touched on this a little bit, but I think it was at one point early in the second half, you've tried to dunk on guys a bunch in your career where you hit the paint and you look like you were ready to go up, and there came Wembanyama.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what's that like when you see that?
It's just a whole nother thing you got to think about when you're in the game offensively. Yeah, like you said, I touched on earlier, when you're driving to the paint and he's on the floor, he's somewhere. He's lurking somewhere, right? So I think he was honestly opposite slot or opposite wing. I drove baseline, and I look up and I see obviously a tall figure around. So he sucked all the way into the paint, so I just kind of kicked it out. We got a swing 3 for AR, so it's just a whole another thing you got to think about offensively, and it was part of our game plan too, just knowing where he's at all times offensively, because we don't want to give him just free blocks.
The late in games, like basically throughout your Laker career, right? Like, I mean, you put the ball in LeBron's hands or AD's hands and kind of let those guys go to work. I mean, they're two of the best individual scorers ever to play. Tonight, when you guys needed buckets, like it came more off of actions and movement and stuff like that. As this team tries to build out what it wants to be, how valuable can something like that be that, like, you know, your two best players trusted the system and then the system produced?
Yeah, I mean, for us, and we've harped on it, and I think this is kind of just universal in the NBA. When it's late game, tight game, you go to your hubs, and our hubs are Bron and AD. Those are our two hubs. But obviously, they trust in us. We've worked on it a lot of in-game situations, and I think we got a lot of guys out there, you know, outside of Bron and AD that can make plays too. And I think we executed really well down the stretch, and I think we really shared the ball. We got to first, second, third actions, kind of running the whole clock down and getting a layup, getting a shot. So I think for us as a team, us trusting each other and being able to execute down the stretch, you know, even with Bron and AD, they get the ball. Obviously, we know they're going to score, but sometimes they bring 2 or 3 guys, and we got to make plays, and I think we did that. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, JJ, I'm sure we'll get to, you know, LeBron, the 4 straight triple-double, and AD getting 40, but is it rewarding for you as a coach to have a guy like Max, who wasn't in the rotation last game, come in and play like he played tonight and just get that kind of boost?
Really happy for Max. We've had 2 situations over the last week where a guy has been out of the rotation and then gotten back into the rotation. In Cam's case, it was starting. And then for Max to not be in the rotation for 3 games, to have the night he had, I'm just happy for him. It's obvious to me as his coach that he's capable of doing that every night, because I've seen it for months, and we've had a number of discussions. And like I told him, I said, if you play that way, because I've seen you do it, I don't want to take you off the court. The way that he fronted Wembanyama when we went to red 1 through 5 just completely disrupted their sort of half-court rhythm. Got a steal on one, but I just thought the physicality, the intent to what his role is tonight was executed to perfection.
And then where would you go with kind of LeBron, AD, and just the games that they had and, you know, this opponent?
Yeah, I mean, look, we I think you certainly have to think about how you can move Wembanyama around defensively. I thought we did that well tonight. AD, whether it was crashing the boards or running in transition, you know, just he's always getting, you know, 8 to 12 points, like garbage buckets, you know, just cleaning stuff up. And when we execute and we're really sort of intentional about how we were using him in set plays, he got to some good spots, and just, you know, it's I told him after the game, I said, I know you're doing this now on a nightly basis. I'm not taking it for granted. Like, it's fun to coach, it's fun to watch, and then with LeBron, I think it was you that asked me the other night about, as a coach, do you think about him as a bigger threat as a scorer or passer, or how do you sort of find that balance? And look, it's tough. He's able to consistently make the right read and make the right play. And on a night where he doesn't take a ton of shots, he ends up with 16 rebounds and 12 assists. We got to clean up a couple of those turnovers, but yeah, in the bad way. But the emphasis points that I've talked to you guys about this, the responsiveness to some of the emphasis points that we've displayed throughout the preseason and the regular season are really promising. And when you're leader, when you're captain, when we're emphasizing being physical on the defensive glass, we're emphasizing defensive rebounds, and we're emphasizing limiting second chance points, and then he's going out there and just grabbing every rebound. It's awesome for our group.
The scoring for LeBron, like the shots are going to go in, they're going to go out. The rebounding, the ball will find him, or he's going to use the effort to do it. But the assist factor, I would think there's some kind of influence that you and the coaching staff would have on where he gets the ball, when he gets the ball, how many times he gets the ball. He's up to, I think he's second highest assist average of his career right now. His highest was when he won a championship with the Lakers. How can there be the best balance of him using his playmaking instincts while still having AD be the hub?
Some of that is staggering lineups with those two and making sure one of them is always on the court. And I think when we made the initial change, and obviously the starting lineup has changed since then, but when we made the initial change and got him with AR, I think that's been really good for us with some second unit guys. I think the biggest thing that we've kind of seen as a staff is as we continue to sort of build out the offensive system and play calling sheet, it's very easy to then get him and AD the ball in the right spot, or have AD rolling with a empty side or with a single side tag. Like it's like every ATO we draw is out of our formations. It's all out of the system. It's not like I'm drawing up random stuff. So, coming out of timeouts, I think we've done a really good job with those two guys, making sure they get the ball in the right spots.
JJ, we obviously just talked about Max, but Gabe came in, was everywhere defensively, hit a big shot in the fourth. D'Lo also 6 assists, 13 points, hit a couple big shots as well. Just, the bench has been a big talking point early on, but seeing these guys come in, I know can be noise with single game plus minus, but 3 of the guys had a double digit, in the positive, like just the impact of the bench tonight. Overall.
Yeah, I would say the biggest impact happened at the beginning of the game. Where we get down by double figures, we're not getting stops, and we're not getting out and running. We're not playing fast. We're not really playing with pace. Thought we executed well in the half court and got some shots that didn't go in, but they changed the entire dynamic of that first half and got us control of the game. And we really never. I know they made some tough shots. Wembanyama was awesome. Devin Vassell was awesome. Stephon Castle was awesome. Like they made shots. They kept punching, they kept fighting, but it felt like we had control of the game, and really where that happened was when the bench came in the first quarter.
JJ, we've looked at, you've mentioned kind of some moments that have come up that it can be like, trust building moments, right? Like these things that occur or whatever. Usually late in games, LeBron James has a ball in his hands when you guys need a bucket. Like that's just been 22 years of it. Tonight he gets that bucket, but he got it off a cut with AD. Like when you think about trying to build out the way you guys want to play late in games, how important can something like that be?
It wasn't just that play. There was an earlier play where I think AR hit the 3, and I believe there's one other possession. I'll find it on the rewatch, but I think there were 3 possessions down the stretch where there was a set call or there was an ATO. And the first option wasn't there. And we got to a second option. We got to the third action. And the LeBron play was like the 4th action on that play. And so for the guys, just building that trust, we talk about it all the time, like making teams defend multiple actions in a possession, that we're going to break down a defense that way. That was a perfect example of it, and it happened at the perfect time.
You guys, I think, scored at, your last 3 real offensive possessions, they were all kind of similar, right? Like the pick and roll with AD and where with Reaves got Wemby to switch and kind of was patient and stuff like that.
I believe we had a horn set out of there too. But yeah, I mean it's like if you can scout us, we're gonna put AR, LeBron, and AD in action at the end of the game. That's what we're gonna do.
I know you guys just wrapped this game up, but you have New Orleans tomorrow. Just what stood out to you about them, the way they've been playing?
They're going to play hard. It's what we talked about this morning. It's really hard to win a game in this league. It's really hard to win on the road in this league, and it requires effort and toughness, and the same effort and toughness, and I would say intent to just disrupt. We're going to need that tomorrow. I don't know the final score. It looked like they were beating Denver when they ended up winning. Yeah. So last time I checked, they were up 7 with a few minutes ago. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough game.
Thanks, Coach. What? Koshan delivered?
I'm going to play the rain course tomorrow.